Hi there, I'm going to show you how to make Guatemalan tamales. First of all, we are going to need 6 tomatoes, a cup and a half of water, 1 large onion, 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, about 3 chile árbol, 2 chile Oaxaca, and 2 chile pasilla. Next, we're going to need about 4 ounces of sesame seeds, also called ajonjolí, and 4 ounces of pepita, also called pumpkin seeds, 1 stick of cinnamon. These are going to be alternative ingredients that you may want to add. I'll put them here. This is achote. This is a can of tomato sauce in case you don't want to use the fresh tomatoes. Some chicken broth in case you don't want to use all water. And good old pork lard. We're going to use some masa. I buy it not prepared. Some sea salt. Our plantain leaves. This is the way they come. Tools that we're going to use be one of these guys. Optional, one of these guys. But definitely one of these guys. As they're starting to toast, they start to jump up out of the pan and it's starting to smell pretty nice. While I'm cooking, we're enjoying the music. Thanks to YouTube, Rob. Alright, so you can tell that these are done when you shake them and they start looking like they're releasing some of their oils. And you'll see the difference when you're cooking them. That they look they look very different than when they were dry. See how they... So these guys, together with the pepitas, are going to be run through a blender. Let me get that ready. Once that is blended thoroughly, it will sort of look like this. Now if this is too thick and it won't blend, that's when I've used my chicken broth. Just to make it be able to go. Okay, after we ran it through the food mill, we ended up with our sauce here. But our sauce is not quite red. See how it kind of looks orangey? So this is where the optional ingredient comes in. 1 or 2 tablespoons of lard that I purchased here, with about maybe a half a spoon of these of achote. And so what we do is we are just going to melt the achote in the oil until the oil kind of changes color, and that will give the sauce a more reddish color. This produces a reddish oil, which we're just going to take a little bit to pour in our sauce to give it a more reddish color. Now I'm seasoning it with some sea salt. The next step is to take the masa out of the bag, pour it into a container like so, and add enough water so that the masa is really watery. See? Not tamale-like. Because Guatemalan tamales, we have to cook the masa. So, see how the masa is like really watery? It's like pancake syrupy. So what we're doing is, we're trying to get rid of all of the lumps when we add the water. Okay? Okay, so here's a controversial thing. We add some lard to a pot. Now, if you don't want to use lard, you could use, I guess, corn oil. But I figure once a year, it's not going to kill us. So we are going to use the lard, put the lard in here, melt it, and when the lard is melted, I'm going to add the masa and more water until it's more watery than it was before. So now we start stirring and stirring until this stuff becomes thick enough that a little bit of it will float in water. And I'll show you that later. Whip out the handmade tamale spatula here, made by my dad, used by my mom, and hand it down. So this is going to take a long while. Okay, so here the trick is that as it's cooking, it's starting to stick on the bottom, and we don't want it to stick because if it burns, then it gets bitter. And we don't want it to get bitter. So we're going to have to stir and stir. And as you see, the lumps are starting to form. And these lumps will then... Okay, so my masa is, I believe, ready. How we test it is we take a glass of cold water and we drop a little bit into the masa, into the water of the masa. And if it clumps up like that and does not dissolve and stays at the bottom of the jar, the cup, then that means it's ready. Now, I don't know that I'm going to be able to get, according to my mom's recipe, I should be getting about 45 tamales out of this pot. And I don't think so. But we'll see. So next is the step of getting the ingredients ready for the preparing of the tamales themselves. Okay, so the tamale leaves should not be trusted because they're not clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash them, and then I'm going to cut them into little squares and put them in the... Okay, so the next step is to get the tamale leaves cooked in a small amount of water. And so what we do is we take a little bit of them at a time, and then we have our foil ready, and we're waiting for them to turn nice dark green and release a lot of the wax that they have on them, and you'll see all that foam. It just looks nasty. So we'll take the leaf out of here, and that wax makes the tamales bitter in the end. So we are going to take the leaf, put it on some foil, and get it ready to assemble the tamales. We take the next one, and we continue so we can get ready to assemble the tamales. Okay, the last step was the assembly, and I put a good spoonful of the masa, put a couple of pieces of pork in there, some manzanilla olives, a little bit of the pimentos, and that's what it looks like. So we wrap it up. Just like a little Christmas present. And then they go in my pot. And then I'll show you when I'm ready to cook them. Okay, so I've got my giant tamale pot here. And so what I do is I put a little bit of water underneath. And then my steaming lid. And then I start stacking my tamales in here. Okay, I only got 16 tamales out of that masa and the sauce, but we got a little bit of sauce left over.